What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and bringing a little nugget to add to the Soul Tribe archive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the moon in Cancer in the sixth house. I was like, look at the moon. This is an interesting one for the moon. Now, when you talk about that good old moon, the nature of the moon is to nourish and to nurture. Like this is how we feel things, and not just like the emotions, of course, like the moon deals with, but it's just like how we feel things in the body. This is the moon's a very sensitive point. The moon controls the tides and the waters and how things move through the stuff. So the deeper connection that you have to the moon, the deeper that you are just in tune with just the cycles and the rhythm. So that's a real kind of important thing when you think about when you're working with the moon, understanding the rhythm of you, in a sense, and understanding how those waters move through you. And again, that doesn't just have to be the emotions, but like literally, how things move through the body, in which we're going to talk about more in this placement specifically. But then let's talk about Cancer, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, so the moon's just comfortable at home. And Cancer is the cardinal water sign, and they're receptive or yin in nature. And there is a very deep intuition with Cancer. They're where being the cardinal sign, they're where the feelings first happen. And so Cancer, when you even think about the crab has to be in tune with the tides, because if it goes in too deep, it's going to get lost in that mess. And then if it's not in the water enough, then you got to deal with all that. And so Cancer has this way of really feeling out a room, feeling the energies and how things move, and really have a deep connection with the ebb and flow of itself, and again of its environment that's around here. So this is a very sensitive energy when you're working with Cancer, but it does, having that rulership of the moon does provide that mothering energy that Cancer gets attributed to, the caretaker, the nurturer, because they can just, you don't have to say anything. Cancer really is just like, are you okay? So that's a real kind of beautiful energy there with Cancer. And then you talk about the sixth house, which we're going to need all that energy for this house. Because in traditional astrology, the sixth house was known as the house of bad fortune. And some of the themes that this house covers are going to be like troubles, misfortune, maybe some bad luck sometimes. I like to think of this as the house of preventative maintenance, because this deals with like diseases and illnesses. So you want to make sure that you're taking, health, taking care of yourself. This can also deal with like accidents and injuries, so you want to be mindful of that. Can be a bit of a combative house too. This can deal with like enemies. The military was associated with the sixth house, but also too, this is the house of pets as well. They're just a little, just let's just throw something in there with that house. But when you're dealing with this placement, a couple of things to consider. One, you'd have an Aquarius rising by whole sign, and you don't have to look far to see who rules this house, because the moon does. And so one thing, just like right off the bat, when I was just talking about how the moon is really just like in tune with the cycles of things, you really want to have a deep connection with your body, making sure that that you're just like paying attention to, like, as far as like what you're eating, what you're putting into it, how you're fueling it, the movement. That's another thing that I would kind of pay attention to, just like making sure to get out there, be active. But with Cancer being, water energy, the water signs tend to absorb a lot of just like emotions, because the thing with the sixth house, it's not just going to be your misfortunes, accidents, injuries that you'll be dealing with, is everybody else's. Like sixth house stuff happens with all of us. And so what I find with water signs is that they can take on a lot, and you want to make sure that you have, let's say for example, if you're in some sort of like healthcare, you're working with people who are going through different injuries, or maybe you're like a therapist, you're going helping people process different emotions and things. You want to make sure that you're cleansing that, because like it's the gift, and the responsibility with Cancer is that, yeah, Cancer can really feel what you're going through, but you may end up taking some of that on. And so you want to make sure that you have different energy cleanses. Maybe this is working with like incense, maybe you're working with like sound bathing, maybe you just talk with someone, whatever that's looking like when you're going through those things, to make sure just to have, not to, because I one kind of trickiness, even though the moon's at home here, the moon can do really great work. It's just, I think that the moon maybe could give too much of itself, here in this position or in this placement, where it's just like, I want to help here, I want to heal this, I want to heal that, I want to heal this, just mothering is just on 20. And so you do just want to be mindful about burning yourself out, creating, because maybe you want to do this thing because you don't want to create enemies, you don't want people to feel some type of way, but you can't help anyone if you're down, you know what I mean? So you have to have that balance. I think with this placement, that would be something to consider. But with that being said, this would be a great placement for someone, like if you're doing any sort of healing, whether again that's doctor, you could be a nurse, you could be a Reiki, massage therapist, emotional therapist, whatever that is. This moon, I think, could do just some really, really beautiful work with that. The sixth house too can be a house of service. So maybe if this is not like, oh, and if I didn't mention too, the sixth house deals with jobs, so that's another thing. But then maybe if you're not doing this as a profession, maybe you just do some volunteering, maybe possibly something that might be something that can help just kind of be help the energies move. But another thing being that this is, pets deal with this house, there could be a very strong, psychic, maybe almost psychic connection that you have with animals. Maybe you're able to, maybe you do something where you work as a vet, or maybe you work on a farm, or whatever that might be. You could have that really deep connection with animals, being able to sense those types of things. So that might be something to even explore. I would say even just like, just having just a little furry friend, someone like you're familiar in a sense, but I think that is something too that can help this, especially when you're kind of going through some things, having someone that you're taking, it's something that you're taking care of, so that you stay in the routine of things as well. And if not, like I'm just looking at my plant over here, plants, that would be another, I think, really kind of healthy thing. Just something where you're just like nurturing something, taking care of something that gets you in just like a regular rhythm. I think could be just really kind of nice, and try to set up your space for you. I think when you're feeling through those types of things, having a space where you can maybe like work, where you have like candles in your home, or different plants, or kind of low lighting. Maybe you have like some wind chimes, maybe playing like bird sounds, whatever that might look like. But yeah, this is a very interesting one, and I could see the moon doing very well here, when it's, maybe just making sure that it's taking care of itself as well there. And that might be something too. I'm just saying, I just got an image of just like swimming. That might be something too, where if you're processing things, just like being by water, maybe getting in the water to help you move through some stuff, could be a very, again, just a kind of helpful placement when you're going through those maybe kind of tough times and things like that. And just kind of a last thing, just having just keeping up regular checkups with your doctors, your healers, and things like that, just to make sure, and keep in mind too that no one knows your body better than you do. And that's not to say, like, I think maybe the moon here could maybe get, I don't want to say paranoid, but just like, I think that it's, when you're sensing something, it's better to ask, and not to be in the state of confusion, because I think that sometimes the water energy imagination could maybe run a little bit wild, and then you end up attracting more of those sort of energies there. So that's just another thing I would just kind of, just a little sidebar there. But you definitely need the whole chart to get an idea of how to work with this placement. But if you have this placement, or know someone who does, down in the comment section, I'd love to hear how have you been working with this placement? Are you in some sort of like health field? What does that look like? Are you just one of the many great healers out here doing just the great work? But if you also want to explore this placement a lot more, and get into your chart in general, or maybe you want to just like start to understand the transits more. Jupiter's about to enter your sixth house soon. This could be, something big could happen with that, especially conjoining the moon. So if you want to work with these, either like transits, or work with your natal chart, however that's looking, down in the description box, there's a link of a way for getting in touch with me, and I have a list of the services that I provide, the prices for them, and how to go about booking those things. So, but if you have any questions or anything, you can feel free to email me. And then if you want to just work with the transits, On this channel, I do as well. I do like weekly videos that come out every Mercury day. That's a Wednesday, and just talk about where the celestial bodies are moving and what signs are in them, so you can have an idea of what to anticipate going forward and how to work with these energies practically. And considering that you have your moon in Cancer, come on over to the Chariot and Friends, because I talk about all this lunar shenanigans, talk about the lunar astrology, and then I do a tarot card reading and an I Ching reading as well on that channel. So that's definitely something to check out. But until next time, stay mindful out there, keep raising that vibration through the roof, and I will catch you on the next one. Later.